Orrery. Orrery. The orrery.
Or
No orrery. Orrery.
No
When they go in.
horror.
The orrery.
Leap of
It's
faith.
Indiana Johnson!
All right, so the first thing I put on the list to talk about is the Lovecraft Book Club Gets Bigger. So we have a Princess of Mars, and then we have Count of Monte Cristo, and now we have Dracula.
Dracula is known for being alive, dead, and if George is represented by the book Dracula, I have a feeling him coming back to life is going to be a plot point at some.
Yeah, I mean,
First
if you
she
have
ripped the
Courtney
book
Vance,
apart,
use him.
then she went and she bought a new copy. She couldn't be without Dracula.
But also, isn't Ben Helsing in Dracula? Isn't he a
Yes.
character in that?
Yeah, he's a vampire hunter.
So I can really see Uncle George coming back as a Ben Helsing character and how to defeat these monsters.
I think George being brought back to life is going to be dangled in front of what I believe are now our three main characters, Leti, Tick, and Montrose. Hey, you do X, and you get George back.
I mean, we all, not to skip ahead, but we all saw him in the bathtub, yeah?
No, there was
You're
some...
sure? Because I wound it and he looked like...
Oh,
I mean, we've heard
Yeah.
from a spirit who knows George.
Yeah, I thought they asked who they were talking to, and it said George.
Is
And
dead.
No, it said
and
George
finished
is dead.
with is dead.
Well, we already knew George was dead. That
Well,
was
but
in the
I
first-
don't know. It's creepy. Andrew dead.
The Somerset/Winthrop house.
Yes.
And why is Letty playing with fire?
What fire?
Fire's a scary ass house in a scary ass neighborhood for black people. I mean, what?
I
was
think
think
she
was
explained
doing?
that. I think she explained that at the end of the episode where she's talking about wanting to feel again and wanting to find her place in this new world and like stake her claim on it. And so I think after realizing this world is so much bigger, she wants to confront it. Like, she wants to confront everything that she's been afraid of. Like, she wants to confront racism. She wants to confront white people and their own turf. And then she wants to confront these monsters and what, is... Like, I don't think she necessarily knew that it was haunted when she bought it, but she bought the sense of danger that came with it.
I mean, she mentions moving into a white neighborhood in the first episode. Like, she mentions that people are doing it. So
Pioneering.
pioneering. So she brings
Okay,
up the concept. And then also, she brought up a point which I completely forgot between last episode and this episode, is she died. She's back from the dead already.
Yeah.
True.
And so, like, she has to find new things to face. And she's, like, trying to figure out how to live in this new world where she is... I mean, she has a brand new life, essentially, because she died.
She's already been dead. What's the worst that could happen? They kill her? Oh, no.
Yeah.
She's been there. She's looked into the abyss. It tore a piece of her soul away, and now she has to find a way to go on living. And so she's lost a lot of fear.
A little voodoo goes a long way, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was great.
That poor goat.
I mean, whatever.
Well, but
Hey,
the
how
other
you
ghosts,
go,
the other
man?
ghosts were made whole.
I think that they were made whole through her power. Like, I think just through her, not necessarily power, but strength.
Strength
I think
and using them to conquer, I think, the evil ghost, right?
Yeah, and so I think they were able to, metaphorically and physically take the soul that was stolen from them back from that crazy ass doctor. Because as they gained themselves back, he deteriorated.
Mhm.
They were stealing his ghost force to become full ghosts again.
Their unfinished business was being put to rest, and they were able to move and pass on to the next plane, whatever that
But
is.
they couldn't have done it if they weren't whole.
If they weren't united by Letty, who did a great thing at that final moment when Tick is being possessed, in what was a really cool effect. She drew on their power and organized and got them to vanquish that thing.
The layers of metaphor and meaning and historical relevance and current relevance that they managed to pack into what is essentially a stupid exorcism scene is nothing short of genius. I mean, just pure gold. it really left a mark for me.
So it's ghosts, racists, or our heroes. Who broke the boiler?
Racists.
Ghosts.
Time,
Racist.
Father Time.
We're talking the Shining interference here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
either racists went in and fucked up with it, or
No.
the ghosts fucked up with it. The bodies of the racists, not the victims. The bodies of the racists being dumped on the murder floor.
Ghosts.
Who- Ghosts.
Oh no,
Ghosts.
that's our heroes.
Yeah, they don't know that's there yet because they have to do some mystical shit to get the elevator to go down that far. That is like sub rune basement.
There was runes. Yeah, there was
Two
runes
there
going
was
down.
Just two
runes.
subs.
That like.
Yeah, but they're both like magical and shit. My vote is
I
heroes.
don't
We'll
think
see
they're
who's
there
right.
yet. I think they will go there and discover.
But it's the first thing they're now having to hide.
No.
Like,
No, I don't
they're
I
I mean-
think it was completely unrelated. I think that while she was trying to fix the house was fixing her problems.
Right.
I think it'll be an interesting bit of storytelling because for me, in a more traditional sense, at minimum, the heroes would have found that floor earlier and we would have seen them, if not stash the bodies, discover the bodies.
But it would be even weirder if like we missed a whole scene of them missing all that murder that happened, like horrific murder, finding the bodies and being like, oh, let's find the secret basement to put these, like that just seems like a lot to leave out. But were those bones the worked on black people or were those other bones?
No, I think they were the
Because-
ghosts.
Were they the
no,
ghosts?
because they found the bodies.
They
They
found body parts.
Found the bodies in the basement.
No, they found body parts. But I also think Tick and Letty would have to have been a little more unified than they were in this episode to like have a flashback showing them finding the bodies and oh, by the way, there's a secret basement and we're going to store them. And, you know, I mean, I feel like they still haven't fully connected. There's still a disconnect between these two.
Yeah.
And so quickly on the murder floor, where do we think the sub basement leads?
To the hidden and stolen pages of the Book of Adam? Because right after you saw the scene with the bodies, it cut to Tick standing outside the realty office, and then he confronted, what's Mrs. Braithwaite?
Christina.
I forgot.
Christina.
Oh, Christina.
Christina
I
Braithwaite.
looked it up. I wrote it
And
down.
she proceeds to expose via exposition like Mr. Winthrop stole pages of the Book of
Yeah.
Adam and hid them in a chamber that was super deadly booby trapped that only he could get to. There's some Last Crusade leap of
It's
faith.
Indiana Jones
We're
time.
doing Indiana Jones next episode, and I'm pumped.
I'm so stoked.
And
We
those
should see if we
symbols,
can watch
and
it
those symbols
together
you
at
saw
some point.
going down in the elevator looked very similar to the symbols you saw that
Yep.
Tick couldn't get past when he was
Yep.
at the door at the lodge.
And finally on the house, the Braithwaite connection. So we know Christina provided the money, but I was a little distracted. Do we think she somehow managed to tip Letty off to the house as well? Because she
Absolutely.
needed Letty to be in that house.
Had to
I'm sure
be.
she did.
Had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think whatever it took to get Letty in that house, Christina did.
I think she was insinuating like that she hasn't made her big spell yet, but because she hasn't focused on it, she's been focusing on smaller spells. Like I think that she is maybe spreading that out in order to build up to it, whereas like all of the men in the family have gone for one big spell to make themselves the most powerful, whereas as a clever woman, she's doing little things where like she can control Letty and she can control Tick, physically control him with very little effort. So I think like she's hinting at like he thought he could make himself invulnerable and that would make him live forever. And they get one big spell, but if you like play it right, you can do a lot more with little.
Well, I have a quick question. What do you guys think about Christina Braithwaite? Have you made up your mind? Bad
She's a
guy,
villain.
good guy?
She's a bad guy. She's using Tick to get what she wants. He's the key that she needs.
You thought this episode was all off on its own. At the very end, they bring us back to the bloodline, to the cults, for lack of a better term. And
I literally was like, what the fuck is
language of
going
Adam.
on here?
I know, I like it was just like Audie, just keep watching. We'll get there. We'll get back there.
She's the puppet mistress of all this right now, and we're seeing it unfold piece by piece. She absolutely turned Letty onto it. We already know. You know, fate gave her the money saying her mother left it to her. and she absolutely somehow steered her towards.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. She also managed to separate Letty from her sister with that single act as well.
Letty is bait for Tick. That is Christina's insurance. If ever Tick was astray, she can always put Letty into danger and bring him right back.
Tick and Letty. And like, will these two ever get together? What do we think? Do we think they'll eventually end up together?
No.
Honestly, I don't care. I don't feel like their love story is necessarily like the driving force. Like,
Yeah, I think I'm more invested to their like draw towards each other than I am than like a romantic relationship.
So I called it Things to Go Bump in Another Night.
nice.
Okay, so first of all, the bear trap in the basement. When you get a
Stomach.
camera focus out like that, it's like, oh, there's a bear trap.
Oh, look at this thing. It could scare them, and then it's actually this
Dangerous.
thing. So
About the ghost board, because I'm not going to call it what it is. The ghost board.
Parentheses, why won't you say the word?
It's
Bad juice.
evil. Not bringing it into
Okay.
my house. Nothing good goes right when you use a Ouija board.
well,
George is dead isn't the answer to their question. Orrery. The orrery that Hippolyta found. Orrery. Orrery
Or
is a model of the solar system.
is that a sequel to the Ruhr Juror?
So Hippolyta finds it during the party.
so I was watching, and she had that scene, and then her face was there, and I was like, nope. She's
Okay. I believe you.
And,
So I
and-
believe-
and she also had a scene with Montrose that episode. Was that not afterwards?
It was after also, but that was
Yeah.
the first episode. I
Oh,
heard.
that's right.
But anyway, so then when the racists were walking around the house, they go upstairs, and one of them was like, oh, I found one. And they bust into the room to beat up a black person, and their faces get steam burnt off, and
Very nice.
boom.
And they
But-
wind up in
and
the body pit.
there's no orrery
Mm.
in the room.
No
when they go in.
horror.
Yeah.
So wait a minute.